For today's good question, we're asking, in addition to pedestrians, what else is prohibited from traveling on the interstate? Now, because of the high speeds associated with interstate travel, people and slower vehicles generally aren't allowed to travel on them. The Federal Highway Administration told me those regulations are actually set at the state level. In fact, there are about a dozen states out west, most with lower populations, where bicycles are allowed on the interstate. But in Kentucky, state regulations list 9 things prohibited within the right-of-way of a fully controlled access highway, including an interstate. Those include things you would expect, like bicycles and pedestrians. It also includes vehicles drawn by animals and people riding animals, farm equipment not being transported by something else, and mopeds. Now, if for some reason you do have to walk on the interstate, like your car breaks down, Kentucky law also says, quote, where a sidewalk is not available, any pedestrian walking along and upon a highway shall walk only on a shoulder as far as practicable from the edge of the roadway. Now, if you have a good question, you can email goodquestion@wkyt.com. I'll see you on WKYT Mornings.